Sorry about earlier. So what ended up happening was I had something unexpectedly came up earlier this morning, and that's why I didn't finish out the stream. But so what I was talking about was I had the complication of COVID and 2 cases of pneumonia, and on May 21st was when I went to the hospital, and luckily, knowing what they knew, they couldn't do anything. I wasn't responding to their treatments, so I ended up going down to Milwaukee, down to the Medical College of Wisconsin, in Freighter area, and I was there for about 6 weeks. They had to put me on they had to insert a tracheotomy, which it's a surgical procedure. That's what they do with that's for people that either have chronic lung conditions or those with other complications like damaged voice cords, or those that were smokers, or those that had other various complications. And I had that in for almost 2 months, and I was on a mechanical ventilator for about 6 weeks, roughly. And on top of that, having a tube in the mouth. It's pretty much the left lung. Actually, yeah, the left lung was pretty much filled up with fluids. So it was not a walk in the park, I'll tell you that. And I was on a lot of different antibiotics, and while you're on a ventilator, you can't really talk. You're kind of mute. And I'll put it this way: it's kind of a scary feeling, not being able to talk to anybody and just being kind of on the quiet side. And a lot of times, TNAs would get kind of frustrated and irritated because they didn't know what I needed, or they couldn't really help me because I couldn't really tell them what was wrong. So I don't wish COVID on anybody, and I don't wish pneumonia, because it could have killed me. It's the experience of a lifetime, but yet it's something that you never want to deal with again. Because they kind of thought my kidneys were going to shut down. They thought my liver was going to fail. With some of the complications of COVID, there are some people that have contracted PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And in the beginning, I would say I had it for roughly about a week or two after coming out of the medical-induced coma that they put me in. I wouldn't quite say I was bad enough, but it was enough that they actually had to restrain me down to the bed because I kept trying to yank the tube in the tracheotomy out of my neck and yank the collar off. But why they put a collar on a tracheotomy is to hold that appliance in place, and it's very weird having a tracheotomy in your throat and having tubes dangle down in your lungs. And when they're jostling around, you can really feel it. And I'll just put it this way, it's the kind of thing that you really don't want to have to ever experience. But I'm just glad that I did not have to live with a tracheotomy permanently, because when you're on tracheotomy, you cannot actually eat solid foods. You get stuck on tube feedings, and as far as that goes, that's not a walk in the park or a cakewalk either. That's more or less, not only does it mess up your stomach, but it also gives you get a lot of upset stomachs, or upset stomach from the formula that they feed you. And it's not just a bottle of something that you just dump in a glass, and this is the kind of an application that you run through a PM type device where it measures out how much you get per hour and the exact timing that you get the feeding. It's classified as an IV treatment, but what you do is you get an ostomy tube put in your stomach. I don't have it anymore. I had it removed by the doctor. But for roughly about 3 weeks after being at Freighter, okay, I was probably there longer than 3. I'd say about 6 to 8 weeks I was in ICU. And so what it is right around here, they kind of do a surgical procedure where they insert a G-tube in your stomach. And then once they put it in, there's a balloon that they inflate so it stays in place, so they don't have to do any stitches or. And when they pulled that G-tube out on like 3 days before September 1st, they forgot to deflate the balloon when they pulled it out, and why did that hurt after they pulled that out? But within about 2 to 3 weeks, that ostomy hole closed up. Unfortunately, the trach site